Okay, I had to put my octopus up and because I had this propped up against it, and so now I have the octopus on. So now you're seeing a little bit different view, but I know you don't care, right? You don't really care about that. Just wanted to kind of explain, just talking to you guys. But this person says, Hirsch, I am a big rail fan. I love anything that involves trains. One of the things I'm curious about, I'm not moving there, which I wish I could. But yeah, I haven't heard you talk much about the light rail system that's connecting to Tacoma. What's going on with that? And when will the streetcar line be completed? Thank you for your videos. Well, thank you for the question. And I appreciate your support. Also, make sure you guys join our Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Post all types of stuff there, right? We have pretty decent conversations, a lot of questions people ask. Try to be helpful. I can answer your stuff really quickly. I have a lot of people that will, give comments and stuff, which are great. Sometimes I kind of miss them, and I apologize. But if you're in our Discord, it's different because it pops up like a little text for me, and I'm able to reply pretty quickly. Anyway. So the light rail system, right? For people who don't know, there's a couple of different ways that this region talks about light rail, right? And so I have to go in. This guy probably understands, but other folks are like, whatever. Some people will argue that a streetcar is light rail. Yeah, it's a form of light rail, but it's not the type of light rail that most rail geeks think about, right? When they're talking about light rail, they're talking about a train system that typically runs at grade, which is basically street level, and not necessarily in a street. It's in its own dedicated lane, so it has its own track system. Nothing shares it. It has several cars connected to it. Typically, it will be 2 trains connected. Some places it may be 3. Here in Seattle, there's 4 trains connected because it's a very busy area. And so most places that have streetcar or light rails would be, Portland has a light rail system called the Max. Seattle, of course, has the Link Light Rail, which they're going to change. We don't know what name that's going to be, but that's what it is. Excuse me. Sacramento has a light rail system. I can't think of it right now what that is. Los Angeles has a light rail and a heavy rail system, but they have a light rail system. San Francisco has Muni, which is their light rail system, but it's 1 train, but it's a light rail system. They also have BART, but they have Muni. Denver does, Salt Lake City does. There's a lot of places, right? There's a ton of places that have the light rail system. Tacoma doesn't have one of those yet, okay? Now, there are streetcars. Streetcars are basically lighter vehicles, a different type of track bed, and they are typically just 1 train. Some of them are the big, long flex ones. The ones in Europe are big, long, super long light rail trains. They're pretty cool. But here in America, we have those littler ones, right? They're still big. Those you see in Portland, so the Portland streetcar, Tacoma, the Tacoma Link is technically a streetcar, but they want to say it's light rail. So you have that. Seattle streetcar, let's see. San Diego also has a light rail system, but San Diego also has like a little tiny old school streetcar. El Paso has a streetcar system. Tucson, Arizona has a streetcar system. Phoenix also has a light rail system too, by the way. Where else? Even Kenosha, Wisconsin has a streetcar loop, right? There's a lot of places. Detroit has a streetcar. I believe it's a streetcar only. I could be wrong. Cincinnati got a streetcar system in. Kansas City. There's a lot of places, right? But they call them streetcars. Here in Tacoma, Sound Transit built this segment first. Before anything else, they built the Tacoma Link, and they called it Tacoma Link Light Rail because technically it is light rail, but it's also kind of not really light rail. It's light rail in the fact that it's not a heavy rail train like a subway train or like a commuter train, but it is a streetcar that has its own dedicated tracks. That's basically what that is. And this person wants to know, when will the project be done? Well, what they're doing is right now, they've laid all of the track, I think. All of the track is in. So they're doubling the size of the streetcar system, right? So our link light rail is going to be, I forget how big, right? 4 miles when they're done, maybe a little more than that. And what it's doing is going from where it currently stops, which is the theater district, and it's going to go all the way up onto Division and then down MLK, which is where straight through Hilltop. But that's basically connecting our hospital campuses along with a lot of different businesses and houses and apartments and things like that, right? It's a really, really cool project. And it's going to connect the Stadium District and Hilltop and all these other places, right? All of that. It's going to extend it, go right up past McMenamins, which is going to be bomb. Because you know I like some McMenamins. But anyway. So the rail for all of that is done. Right? It's completed. What they're installing now is the track line. So all of the electrical lines, the electrical boxes, all of that type of stuff, they're still installing that stuff. So they're doing that. Stations and things like that will probably be going in if they're not already. I don't know. I haven't been over there. I try to avoid it because construction sucks and we have a lot of construction going on here. But anyway, so I have to go over there from time to time because I have to do business over in that area. But I haven't been there in a while, and the well typically goes, and she says, yeah, it's all mostly done. So they're completing that, and that should be done in terms of just everything probably next year, right? 2022, I believe, is when things are up and running, you can get on it and all of that. They're not sure if they're going to charge people or not, but there was this story that they were going to start charging people. Right now it's free, you don't have to pay. But there was talk of them actually wanting to charge that, right? Who's that? Zozo. So that's kind of what they're claiming, right? But we don't know if they're going to actually do that. The other project is basically the Link light rail system, the real light rail system that will connect Seattle all the way down to Tacoma. Now, it goes all the way down right now. They've paid for Federal Way all the way up to Seattle, right? So they're wrapping that up. That should be wrapping up kind of soon. All the way up to Linwood. There's a Linwood section. So basically, there's a middle section that's done that includes the airport and Angel Lake. And then you have this other little section that includes Federal Way. And then at the northern part of this, you have Linwood, which they're working on that also. And then you have this East Link line that connects all the way over here to Bellevue, right? So they're working on all 3 of those right at this point in time, and all 3 of those are going to be completed relatively soon, right? So it's going to make this system grow gargantuanly pretty soon, right? The one section that I care the most about, obviously, is the section connecting Tacoma or Seattle to Tacoma, right? And so it's the Tacoma extension, and they call it the Tacoma Dome Link Extension, or TDLE. And that project should be getting started relatively soon. Now, here's the rub. Because of the sickness, it has caused a lot of issues. Now, part of my rub is not necessarily the sickness, because stuff happens, but Sound Transit takes forever to do anything. Now, people will argue and say, well, you know, you want them to do a good job. Yeah, this is, you know, a lot of work and blase, 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 blah. I get that. But part of me thinks that Sound Transit wants to have legacy projects where someone can start working there my age and retire. So it's like, by the time you get done with everything, I can retire and be good. And a lot of folks can start working there at 20 and retire working the same projects, because that's how long it's going to literally take. Some of these projects are well into the future, right? So by the time they get down here, let's see. Let me see what it says. When will the link Tacoma Dome link? Yeah, there we go. Because it's confusing, because Tacoma Link is the small streetcar, and Tacoma Dome line, or Tacoma Dome Link, is the big one. So let's see. So Federal Way, they're going to be completing that in 2024. So basically, you're looking at about 3 more years, and that's going to be done. By the time they get down here in Tacoma, which is mostly going to be elevated. Now, there was talk of them putting it on ground level. It's going to be elevated. You're talking 2030, 2031 or so, but they've been running into some issues. Why? Because things increase and it's expensive. Construction cost goes up pretty much almost every day. And so they're wondering where are they going to come up with that extra money. Now, it's not as expensive as West Seattle. That's going to be several, and going all into different places, that's going to be several $1 billion more. This is going to be under $1 billion in extra cost, which is still a lot of money. But they think that won't be too much of a problem, right? They still have to build a maintenance facility and all that down in South King County, which is huge. They still have to build the mostly elevated track all the way down to Tacoma. They're going to probably pick either the Tacoma or the Freight House Square. Remember where the studio is? They may knock that down and build a station there, or build a station somewhere in that area. But all of that is scheduled to be done in about 2030, 2031. They're not really quite sure because of the sickness and everything. That's kind of delayed everything, right? So that's that situation. But I have to back up a little bit, right? Because one of the things that we had, and it was taken away, was Amtrak. Now, we still have Amtrak that comes through, but it comes through, there's 2 stations, right? The old station, which is about as big as the man cave. It's bigger than that, but it looks like it's about as big as the man cave. And that's kind of where Amtrak goes right now, right? It goes to that old station. Can you go? Because he's just really meowing at you, and I'm trying to do videos. Zozo's just sitting there. It's 8 o'clock. Zozo's up, which normally they're not up till like noon. But anyway, so that's kind of the circumstance right now, right? The one area that it actually technically is supposed to stop is right there at Freight House Square. They have a whole new little terminal that was built, brand new, fancy. It looks great in there. And then the accident happened down there by DuPont, where there was a derailment on this new section that they completed, because what they're trying to do is have trains at a much faster pace. And here in America, fast trains mean 79 miles an hour, right? That's high speed here. So they shut all that down after that accident happened, and so they had to review everything and make sure everything was good to go and all the analysis and blah, 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 blah. Well, that station at Freight House was closed, and there was no trains coming there. Now, they have just now stated that they're going to start testing the trains again in that section where the accident was, to see if everything is going to be okay. Now, what that means is you're going to start seeing Amtrak trains going 80 miles an hour going through certain sections of Tacoma all the way down into Lakewood and places like that, right? They're going to be testing to see if the tracks can handle that. Now, we know that section they can do that because the Sounder commuter train uses the same tracks, and they haul going through there. So that's what's going to happen now. So that is going to make that area even more busier, right? So it seems like that's going to start opening up relatively soon. And so when I say soon, we're talking probably this year, right? If not later this year. So probably late this year, if anything, early next year at the latest. You're going to have Amtrak coming back to Freight House Square, which really and truly makes that a very important piece, right? Because now our transportation is going to be much more centered as opposed to being kind of fragmented like it was before, right? So the Freight House Square is important because that's where you can get on for Amtrak, Sounder, Tacoma Link Light Rail. It's all right there, right? As well as the city bus system. Eventually, the main light rail line will be there as well. So for those who aren't geeked out about rail like I am and this guy, this is probably just a lot of like blah. You don't even know what I'm talking about. But for those that did kind of follow along, that's kind of where we are, right? So Tacoma Link Light Rail should be done. Let me see. When will the Tacoma Link And that's known as the T line, right? So, okay, so Eastlink, which is the light rail system that goes all the way over to Bellevue and all up into the hoity-toity places in Amazon. That's going to be done in 2023. So we're talking 2 years. That's going to be done, right? This year, Northgate will be completed. So that's up there by where the mall used to be up in Seattle. They tore all that down because malls aren't doing so hot. And that's where the hockey training facility will be for the Seattle Kraken, the NHL team, right? That's going to be their training facility up there. So that's going to be opening this year in 2021. And in 2022, next year, the Tacoma Link Hilltop streetcar extension, the one I was telling you about that goes up and through Hilltop and connects the hospital, is going to be completed at that point in time, right? And then they're saying 2024, downtown Redmond, Linwood, and Federal Way, all of those will be completed. So that gives you an idea. And then, of course, the Tacoma Dome, to get the main connection so that you can go all over the place, is going to be in 2030 to 2031 or so, right? So, hope I answered your question. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the support. Make sure you join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.